Could compassion lead someone to make poor decisions? And you're fine if we record?
Sure.
Okay, great. And what was your name?
Scott. Yeah, Scott.
Scott. All right. Hey, Scott. My name's David.
How you doing, David?
Not too bad.
And the crew.
Yeah, that's Veronica.
Hi, Ron.
And Reid.
Is it Reid? Yep. How you doing?
Reid's got a YouTube channel also.
Oh, right on.
And I'll give you a card for that in a second. Actually.
You guys all local?
Yeah, I live in Olympia. Veronica's from Eugene, and Reid lives in
Holy cow.
LA. Yeah.
I got my cousin's son is a duck. He's now an architect making more money than everybody in Seattle.
Really?
Yeah. Been through Eugene a million times because I got family. Mostly live in California, but I've been driven to Washington so many times because there's a lot of family up here.
Oh, uh-huh.
And I got a cousin in Tenino, cousin in Seattle, another cousin in Steamboat. Then their son's of cousin is up in Port Orchard, where my dad was born.
Okay. That's a nice area.
It is, but I guess it's gotten a little rough up there economically, and so it's not like it used to be. It used to be just a cute little town on the water.
Yeah, yeah.
But now it's a little depressed, I think.
Kind of run down.
But if you get inland, there's a lot of building going on. So
Yeah.
we were looking for houses up there. We were hoping for Gig Harbor, and Gig Harbor's too expensive.
Yeah. Gig Harbor's nice too.
Oh, it is nice. That's what we were hoping for, but couldn't find anything that fit our needs that was reasonably priced.
So you've been in the Olympia area for how long?
Just last July.
Okay.
Although
So almost a year.
I lived here a couple of years as a kid because my dad was stationed. My dad was a pilot in the Marines, and he was stationed at Sandpoint, Seattle, for a couple of years. So kindergarten, first grade, we're here.
How do you like the winter?
The winter, we left Sacramento because California was getting too hot, too dry, too many fires. And then we come up here, and then they have an epic winter down there where they get more snow and rain than they've had in 100 years. So we actually escaped a bad winter because they got too much. But up here, I think you had a mild winter.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of strange because, everybody's saying, oh, you'll be back in a couple of years. You won't be able to take it up there. It's like, weather's cake around here. I mean, yeah, it's kind of gloomy and drizzly, but that's why we came up here. We wanted to get away from the heat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get a lot of water, you're going to have other issues.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I specifically chose Olympia because it's out of the rain shadow, and it rains a lot here, more than Seattle. And it's also, real estate's reasonable here. It's not like Seattle is crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. Well, did I explain what I was doing okay? Or do you want me to?
Yeah, just an interview on a topic and a little back and forth here, I guess.
Yeah, and
For your YouTube channel?
yeah, and I'll be asking questions basically from a neutral perspective that helps us explore how you came to a belief or how you arrived at a conclusion and what supports your confidence
Okay.
and the reasoning behind it.
All right.
So, what do you want to say? You want to talk about veganism, right?
Yeah, well, I can talk about, my path to vegan. But she was the one, she's, like I said, a lot more knowledgeable. But I can certainly tell my experience.
We could do this. We could maybe explore a value you have that informs your view on veganism, if you want to talk about that.
Sure. Well, the reasons for doing it, that's definitely, I could talk about that.
Okay, so what do you want to say about veganism?
Well, veganism is obviously good for animals. It's good for, the plant-based diet is very good for you health-wise. There are non-vegan diets that are pretty healthy, but if it isn't vegan, it involves animal death and suffering. So that's why, and vegan is good as any other diet you can find, and it eliminates it. It doesn't eliminate it. Nobody is 100% vegan. If you breathe, you're not 100% vegan, right? So I'm not trying to say, I remember I got an argument on Facebook with a guy. He kept trying to claim that I was saying I was 100% vegan. No, I kept telling him over and over, I'm not saying that. It's impossible to do that. You just try and do the least harm.
Should I be vegan?
I think everyone should be vegan. It could help save the planet, because if we don't go that route, you got to understand that factory farming and big agriculture is doing a lot of damage on the planet.
Everyone should be vegan. Is that
I think everyone that can be. Sometimes, if you're an Eskimo, it's going to be tough to be a vegan.
Everyone who can be should be vegan.
Well, in a perfect world, it would be great if everyone could go vegan. But I think given certain locations and resources, it may not be practical at this time. And it's going to be a process for the world to become vegan. Let's just say everybody decided they wanted to do it, it's going to take time to do it, because a lot of people rely on things that aren't vegan, and you can't just cut it off immediately. So it would be a process over time.
Okay, so even though it would be a long process, your conclusion is that everyone who can be should be vegan if we had like a perfect world.
Yeah. If we could make it happen.
Okay. And the main reason for that, like the reason that supports your confidence in this the most.
Well, I've been vegan for about 11 years, and most meat and dairy comes from large factory operations, and the way animals are treated is terrible, and there's no doubt about that. There's a lot of people that are trying to counter that, but the reality is there's just so much evidence out there. Go to a factory farm, go to a big what do they call them, condensed agricultural farming, CAFO or something. See, she knows all this stuff there.
So the factory farms is the main reason everyone should be vegan who can be?
I'd say, well, it depends on what your approach or what your concern is. Factory farms, I would say, are a good reason, because that's where there's so much animal suffering, but there's also massive amounts of sewage and methane. Mm-hmm. They have to grow a lot of, flattening forest right and left to grow soy to make feed for animals that are in the factory farms.
What's your main concern about factory farms?
I think that it's a miserable short life for the animals, and it's just horrible. So it's
animal suffering?
Animal suffering, but also the environmental damage. They're kind of hand in hand.
Okay. All right, so let's say factory farms didn't exist. Should everyone still be vegan?
Well, if factory farms didn't exist, you wouldn't need to farm nearly as much land, because if you take out the animals and you just eat plants, because a pound of meat it takes about 12 pounds of plant matter to produce. So you would only have to farm a fraction of the land you would when you're trying to feed animals. You take animals out, the middleman, the animals, then you can feed the world on a lot less land.
Okay.
Much more efficient, and it gets like. When you plow a field, you kill insects and mice, and so it's not like even that. But the thing is, animals eat feed that is grown in a field, right? Mm-hmm. So by eating animals, you cause more plants to die than if you just ate the plants in the first place.
Okay.
So it's no matter how you slice it, there's more damage, more harm done by eating animals than there would be. Bethany, I think Rosie's getting she's ready. She's wanting down. We're not done here, but Rosie might need to be with you. I don't want to just turn her loose. Not with that. Is that okay? Well, she's coming. Although Rosie's the one out of the three, probably let you pick her up with no issue. She's a lover. She loves everybody.
She looks like a Rosie.
She, on walks, always wants to meet everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, sometimes we have to stop the walk. Yeah, there she go. There you go, Z.
Could I get a sense of your confidence level about your conclusion here that everyone should be vegan who can be? 0 to 100,
Oh,
what number would you put yourself on that?
well, the thing is I don't claim to be a vegan expert, but I've been doing it long enough. Um, and geez, now I play around on Facebook a little bit, and believe me, people try and take down the vegan all the time. And you know, vegan isn't perfect, but I'd say my confidence is very high. If you want to put a number, I don't know. I haven't heard nobody's come up with thrown anything at me that shaken my uh, belief that it's the way to go.
Uh-huh.
But I'm sure that if somebody's a good debater with a pocket full of information, they could probably rough me up. But
You could be convinced that everyone should not necessarily be vegan.
there are people that claim that they have health needs that require meat or non-dairy, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't speak to that. My wife is the one that can really speak to that. She would say that usually the doctors are promoting conventional everything rather than looking at the vegan options, because vegan is still a small percentage. So a lot of people know very little bit about it. In conventional medicine, they push pills. They don't really look for alternative.
Is the argument that some people require meat to be healthy, is that the strongest argument you've heard against veganism?
Well, the thing is, I'm not knowledgeable enough. I don't want to claim maybe there are people that have some kind of condition where there's no vegan route to their good health.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if in fact that's true, and I don't know if it's true, but if in fact it's true, you know, I don't want to shame them for not being vegan.
Uh-huh.
But I don't really know enough on that to speak to it very well.
What would cause you to be non-vegan?
I don't see that happening. Matter of fact, I've been somewhere where I remember I was with a group at a restaurant for some event, and someone posed the question: if you're on a desert island with your dog, and you know you're running out of food and water, you're gonna die. You eat the dog. And I said no. I would just hold on to my dog and we go down together. I just couldn't do it. I'm at a place where I'm so compassionate towards the animals that I'm not going to kill any animal unless it's trying to kill me, or put it out of its misery or something. I would never do that. I'm not capable of it anymore. I've kind of moved to I don't know what's the word, consciousness or something, to a place where it's just not in me to do that. And I just have too much compassion for the animal to ever eat an animal.
Mm-hmm. If we were all vegan, how would the world be different?
Well, it would help environmentally because you would eliminate factory farms, which means there's all kinds of methane and sewage. We could use a lot less farmland throughout the world, and there's damage created through farming, but there'd be a lot less of it because you wouldn't be creating feed to feed all the animals in the factory farms. And you can't do it by free grazing either, because you need about 5 Earths to have enough grazing land to have animals graze and try and feed the people meat that way, because there just isn't enough space, and you're still killing animals when the day's over. So, yeah.
Would you say that the main value that you have uh, that informs your view on veganism would that be compassion?
I'd say the thing that kind of most got me started, the more you start seeing, I mean, most people go to the grocery store and meat is in a package, it's all nice and neat. They don't think twice about it.
Uh-huh.
Well, if you go through the whole process and see where the bulk of the meat comes from, it's really a horrible thing to do that to animals. But it's not just that. I mean, leather products, you know, sheep, shearing sheep. I mean, anytime humans use animals in pursuit of money, be it raising them for food or any other product, the animals will suffer because humans, it's their nature to make as much money off the situation, and the safety, the concern for the animal usually is very low priority.
Got it.
Not that I mean, I'm sure there's some little country farms where the people are trying to do their best to take care of the animals, but the bottom line is the animal's still going to get killed and eaten at some point. Mm-hmm. So no matter how great its life is, It's probably not going to live a long life, because if you're raising it to eat it, you're not going to let it grow old. You're going to kill it at its prime, and it's getting killed.
Could compassion lead someone to make poor decisions?
Well, I suppose that you could probably think of scenarios like that. Like if a guy walked up to me and pointed a gun at me, and I could have drawn on him first, but I had compassion for him and let him shoot me. I guess you could say it's conceivable there are situations where compassion could get in the way. Um, like if another country was going to invade this country, but you're too compassionate to fight a war. So, I guess there's possible scenarios. But in terms of vegan, I'm not aware of one.
Okay.
But I'm not an expert in anything, so who knows?
Yeah, I'm not either.
I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I don't know a lot about anything.
Yeah. Cool. Um, do you have any questions for me?
No, not really. I think this is kind of a cool process. You sure picked a nice spot to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
we're hoping to have a little bit more people walking around today, but I think it's been too nice lately where it's, people are,
days like this are commonplace.
it's a little too warm for a lot of folks around here.
I was a little worried because it said high of 84, but I don't think it's anywhere near 84. This haze is keeping it very comfortable, because sometimes the dogs, they get a little hot, and the
Yeah.
walkway is a little hot.
Yeah.
But I think they're fine today. So this worked out well.
I thought of one more question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Why is compassion a good reason to make a decision?
Well, I think the bottom line is there isn't enough of it amongst the human race on planet Earth. I mean, look at how long we've been on this planet, and we're still killing each other, fighting wars. The politics in this country is a train wreck. All these mass shootings all the time. So, are you going to fix it? How are you going to fix that? Certainly, we could make some decisions. I'm a Navy veteran, and I'm proud of that. But there's another side of me that looks at the money that goes in the military, and it's the biggest waste of money that you could ever imagine. If all of that was going into improving the life of the humans in this country, oh my gosh, there wouldn't be anyone homeless. We'd all have a house, a roof over our head, and food to eat. So I think if the whole world came at all their decisions from a compassionate place, we wouldn't be fighting wars. We wouldn't need the military, and we'd all live a lot better life.
Why?
Because we wouldn't be trying to one up each other. We wouldn't be trying to gain power, have more than the next guy. We would care about each other. And if you care about each other, you don't need to be better than them. You don't need to have a bigger house. Everybody could have, hopefully, a decent life.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to say about veganism?
It's just something, I know that there are a lot of people that are passionate about vegan, and sometimes they're too passionate, and it turns people off to learning about it. I would really like for people to not be turned off, because the people that are so passionate about vegan, they're doing it because they've seen so many films about factory farms and animal abuse. They've seen so much suffering, and they want it to end so badly that it just fires them up, and they just want to get the message through. And, if you come at somebody too aggressively, it's a turnoff. Even though you have good intentions, you can turn off people, and they don't want to hear about it. So if people, there are all kinds of resources online. You can learn about it on your own pace, but I think everyone should at least learn about vegan and try and ignore the overzealous vegans, the crazy, and I'm not anti-PETA or anything, but, sometimes they do some pretty wild stuff out in the streets. But it's because if you don't rock people's boat, a lot of people will just keep doing what they've been doing forever. Tradition drives a lot of what people do. They just keep doing what they always did, and they don't think about the consequences for the planet and the animals. And in terms of your health, it's a lot better way to go too. It really is. A lot of cancers go away. My cholesterol dropped 50 points, and I lost 25 pounds just going vegan. But there's a lot of vegan junk food. Oreo cookies are vegan.
That's right.
So, you can be overweight and unhealthy and be vegan.
Have you ever convinced anybody to become vegan?
You know what? It's funny because most places, if you're in a group, and unless it's a vegan group, you're probably the only vegan there. And so there's kind of you got to read the room. Sometimes people are kind of open to hearing about it, and you may not change their mind, but they're open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
There's other places where you're going to be mocked by everybody because they're trying to take you down. And I think it's because, I mean, ultimately, why would you want to take down the vegan? The vegan is, I'm sorry, but they're doing the ethical thing. Everything, the choice of being vegan isn't the easier path, but it is the most ethical path. I mean, it's better for the planet, it's better for animals. Why would you have a problem with the vegan? I think people a lot of people have the anti-vegan attitude because at some level they know the vegan is doing the ethical thing and they're not willing to go there. They don't want to give up their meat and cheese and all that.
Are you comparing or equating ethics with compassion?
Well, I think they're related.
Okay. Cool. Well, that was fun.
All right.
You don't have any questions?
You're pretty good at this.
Oh, thank you.
Nice and relaxed.
Like,
What a great, the team, everybody's chill. We're by the lake. It's not hot, man. It's perfect.
yeah. I'm out here pretty often, especially when the weather's nice. So if you see us out here again, feel free and maybe we could talk about something else.
Sure.
Maybe we could talk about, you mentioned being in the military and like government waste. We could talk about that or, you know.
Yeah. It seems like this is such a wealthy country. We still don't solve so many of our problems. But we do solve some of them. So, you know.
Are you open to questions, like maybe one or two questions from these folks?
Sure. Are we talking about vegan or anything? Or?
Well, I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to ask a question if you had one. Cool. We're all vegans now. Just kidding.
Right on.
It's really coming down. Do you have something in mind?
Well, you just be open-minded to it and learn about it because it really, it's not only good for you, but the suffering animals go through in the industry is terrible. And there's a lot of problems. Well, I could go on and on about it.
We have a friend in our community. Like there's a few of us around the world that do this. We have a friend in our community who's vegan, and I would say is pretty passionate about it.
That's the trouble. That's where vegans get tripped up. They're so passionate about it because they see that the planet's at a tipping point. And going vegan, if the world's population went vegan, that would do so much to slow down the climate change in the environment. It doesn't solve it. I mean, there's still plastics and fossil fuels. There's a lot of issues that got to get dealt with. But if everyone went vegan, that would be a significant move in the direction of saving the planet. And we're on the clock. And so the problem is, you want to get everyone to get up and scream and get everybody's attention, but that turns off a lot of people if you come at it that way. And then you're just another crazy vegan, and they don't want to hear it. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't want to step on any toes, but you know, the religious fanatic that wants to save everybody and give you all their material, Jehovah's Witness or whatever. And I'm not putting down anybody religious, but when they're overzealous and they just, you know, come at you too strong, you know, you just want to escape. And
There are better ways to talk to people about important issues.
you got to be more diplomatic, and vegans can be like that, but they are passionate, and I get why they are. But you got to be under control, or you're turning people off.
Cool, Scott. It was great to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
We'll see you around, hopefully, huh?
Yeah.
And then if
Wife's back to the car.
if your wife wants to talk, have her come.
Oh yeah. I can see if you're getting home with that on me. Oops. Oh sure. All right, you guys have a good day.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun.